Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Price List Summary video series brought to you by Actionable Insights. You've got Stone here, you've got Whatley there, and you've got Fehrman there. In this Plus video series, we highlight the new line items that were added to the Xactimate price list every month and what's changed. So let's start and take a look at the 20 new line items that were added to the July 2025 price list. New line items. All right, here we go. Right off the bat, we have two WTR category line items for cabinet, vanity, and countertop detach and detach after hours. Now, I'm going to pull up the item image and the click for additional detail. It does specifically note that this item is for situations where the vanity cabinet and countertop are removed together as one piece, like an item you'd get from Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, etc. Salvaging that unit. Directly related to that, we have the original WTRCAB van line item included here. That's the tear out cabinetry. So you can see, Whatley, actually, I'll hand this off to you if you want to expound on that.
Well, yeah, they're giving you 3x the unit price straight away to remove it with care versus straight out tearing it out, which seems to reconcile with reality for me. Moreover, you get that 50% bump for after hours to account for, overtime wages. So I think this is wonderful. You know, when you can reward a restorer for doing something thoughtfully on the mitigation side that ultimately reduces overarching indemnity, that's noble. And I think the pricing department is extending a nice olive branch to the restorer in so much as, hey, if you're doing a great job and you're doing this thoughtfully, and use this warranted line item, get paid a little bit more for doing so. Exactly.
That's a hammer versus screwdriver. Directly related to those two, we have two more line items in the cabinetry category, vanity with countertop reset and detach and reset. So similar methodology, just in the cabinetry category if you are doing this on the repair side.
What's the price differences there? Vanity and then the reset side. Okay, I got it. So those two would run together. If you're going to use the detach, you use it on the WTR category for the vanity, and then you follow it back up with this reset.
Yeah, whereas if you've got the detach and reset line item. So this is filling in all the nooks with, the variances that you have between mitigation estimating and repair estimating. Sometimes on the MIT side, you're going to tear everything out. Sometimes you have something that's damaged but doesn't need to be removed in that instance. So this gives the repair estimator a way to factor for that. So I like that we've removed the ambiguity and we have all of the different ways to facilitate a proper scope.
Yeah, the ambiguity.
Ambiguous. Ambiguity. Yep, say that 3 times fast. Moving on. This is a fun one for me, trim at height add-ons. As a guy who has done crown molding by himself and 9'6" ceiling heights, it's really hard dealing with that 12-foot piece of trim in an area that is higher than normal. You can't just stand on your workbench. There's a little more thought and effort that's got to be put into that. So we've got that additional line item for cove molding, crown molding, and then further line item that's an add-on for your multi-piece crown. So love having these additions.
And will we ever, instead of lineal feet, will we ever get paid per trip up the ladder? That's just the burning question.
Yep, in my case, doing it by myself, you try and get it up there, put a couple of nails in it to hold it in place, then run it to the other side, get it tacked up before it falls down. And if you're a carpenter like me, it's an unfortunate copious amounts of painter's caulking to make up the difference.
Yeah, so I assume you guys will work into some rules into the actionable alert to accommodate if the ceiling height is greater than, say, 8. Something of that nature for the crown molding.
Absolutely. And directly related to that, as our advocation for you, the restorer, we are reaching out to the pricing department for confirmation. We do see in the line item description additional cost for high wall for these line items, but if you go to the click for additional detail button, there's no area here that specifically says what that height is. whereas with the other, say the drywall at height line items, there's a specific range or height that's above. So we're going to get confirmation on that. We'll get back to you. And just as Whatley has pointed out, the actionable profile is going to guide you where these additional add-on line items might be warranted. 2 new line items related to sealing in the paint category: the oil hybrid stain blocker and the shellac stain blocker line item. These complement the existing latex stain blocker. As we know, Fehrman and restoration, we seal and cover up a lot of funky stains. So do you have anything to add on to this?
Yeah, well, it's like if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. If you've only got one kind of stain blocker, you're just going to put it on in multiple coats and be frustrated at every time. So like the shellac is obviously the top of the line. It's great for a heavy smoker, nicotine stains, which are just awful, heavy smoke stain. Then you can drop down to oil hybrid for like the knots in a piece of wood or a dark color of paint. Somebody, puts a stripe around the room and you're going to paint the whole room. So use the right tool for the right problem. And these additional light items give us that luxury.
Oh, 100%. So,
I'm seeing a rule emerge too, that you guys are building out the regional code upgrade rules throughout the actionable alerts subsets. Oil paint in California is a no-go now, Stone, in almost every case. So I think you could start guiding folks to maybe shellac because I think it's beetle derived and more natural.
Correct.
And I think it would still be allowed in California. You guys will have to double check, but I think there is some guidance that could for the alerts relative to the region to make our rules more intelligent.
Yep, and those are the nuances that the actionable profile provides. It's not like we're in the Midwest where a lot of the good old boys just want to get that 5 gallon of kills and just spray everything. We are a little more articulate with our guidance. Moving on. A bunch of good additions to the roofing category, 7 new line items here. The first 5 are directly related to the wood shake shingle roofing systems. We've seen a lot of additions to this, which I think are great because previously it was really hard to thoughtfully write up an estimate on a wood shake roofing system. So we have line items for the cornice returns and the 2-story or greater and the cornice strip. This is a fun one that pops up in our Facebook Ninjas group all the time. And I'll go ahead and drag an image over here real quick. This is what a cornice return is. This is that little tiny roof that returns back to the house. That's always discussed all the time. What's the best way to estimate for this? And these are additional line items that help you accommodate that.
Yeah, and look for some updates around our alerts for gable cornice strips and returns. I was the original author of those back in 2021, and sometimes they fire erroneously. And so what the team is working on now is constraining those erroneous alerts such that they're only firing now for a gable roof as opposed to a hip or half hip, etc. So note, like, if you guys are ever getting a little bit annoyed with the alerts, like, oh, I've seen that before, that's firing erroneously, every month your team's making hundreds of updates to help constrain those erroneous alerts and then make sure that they're firing only when warranted.
Exactly. We can see your sketch parameters. If you're working on a gable roof system, we can suggest the appropriate guidance. We have 2 new vents, a 10-inch and a 12-inch rain cap. This is one that gets asked in the Ninjas Facebook group a lot as well. People send in a picture of that vent cap. Hey, what is this? I don't see it exactly. At the pricing department listens. We have that 10-inch cap. We have that 12-inch cap now. Another fun addition is polycarbonate ridge cap for metal roofing. As a Midwest boy, we see a lot of pole barns, and you see a lot of instances where they have this installed at the ridge, so you have natural lighting coming into the building. So glad to see this addition.
And I've seen it with even regular metal roofing corrugated, but then just the ridge itself is transparent to let through the light.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's a good addition.
It is. Moving on, this is a fun one. We have new line items for shoring trench box, both day, per week, per month. This is that additional line item you need to, when you're digging a trench, to prevent it from collapsing in. There are some OSHA regulations around that. Fehrman, you know this one at heart for unfortunate reasons, don't you?
Yeah, long time ago when I was young, I was on a job where there was actually a death guy did not shore a trench, and it was wet. It was just a sad day. So, hey, shout out to the pricing department for just reminding us about safety, if nothing else, right? And for giving us a way to monetize that safety, or at least pay for it. You know,
exactly.
You can't overstate that, but it's important. And I think the details will say you got to check with the local regulations about how deep you have to be before that shore goes in the trench. So just again, be safe. Go home to your families. At the end of the day, you'll only have one.
100%.
Anytime you can manage risk and make more money as a restorer, you should do that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Right. One more line item for July 2025, handrail. This is an aluminum exterior grade handrail by the linear foot. We do not have an image, but it does express that this is the handrail post mounting hardware and labor to install it. You're seeing nicer, fancier handrails on decks and front entry steps all the time. So this is a nice little addition. So
awesome. And I think it can be used in a commercial environment likely, which is a great push that we're getting more commercial line items all the time.
Yep, 100%. So, all right, that's the new line items that were added to Xactimate for the July 2025 price list. Now let's take a look and check out the changes. Check out the changes. Okay, jumping into this, we have a couple of changes to some cabinetry line items directly related to the new WTR and CAB vanity line items. We have updates to the activity codes. You now have a detach and reset option for the vanity with culture marbled or solid surface top, the granite or marble top, and the porcelain or engineered stone top. So this is giving you complete flexibility, as we were discussing earlier, between what your mitigation team had to do and actually did on site and what your repair scope has to factor for. So the whole array of those combinations now exist. The pricing department's really made it easier for us to get out of the weeds with line items and how they accurately represent what we did. There were some clarifications to the FEE, HMR, TCR, asbestos testing line items. If we click for detail here, this definition is giant now. This entire middle section expounds upon specifically how these line items relate to the other testing line items and what they do exclude and what they do include. So this way that you are using them appropriately. So again, whenever there's any sort of ambiguity, there's that word again, Whatley, or confusion with a line item, when we reach out to the pricing department, they respond and they clarify it, and this is exactly what we want to see. They want us to use the line items correctly. We want to use the line items correctly. If only I could use that word correctly.
Try uncertainty.
Yep. Here's
and the asbestos test fee, it's very confusing between how the related line items, because there's other asbestos tests that are overarching, and then those per samples fall underneath it. I'm confused by them straight away. The good news is, at least those that are using the actionable alerts, they're getting that guidance where it's difficult to include the line items that would be overages, and then it will guide you towards the warranted omissions accordingly. But it is quite confusing about how asbestos is done within the price list for testing, but we've solved for that at least within our alert subsets.
We have. If you're using the incorrect per sample line items with the bulk testing line items, we guide you in the right direction. This is a fun one. There's been an update to the PLM water heater line items. There's been an update to the components. I'm going to get into this, and we're going to discuss this, and I will throw this over to you, Whatley. I'm going to go to the labor. I'm going to hit this edit button so we can see the direct yield, and I'm going to pull up the same box from the June price list, and we're going to drop it side by side. You can see there's been an adjustment to the direct yield. It has actually went down with the July price list. So, Whatley, go ahead.
Well, it's important to remember as we explore this that there's an inverse relationship between yield and price. So imagine if yield goes down here, your price goes up there. If your yield is going to go up, your price is going to go down. And a lot of times, when you and I are training, Stone, and you say, oh, yield went down, people think the price went down, but it's inverse.
Exactly.
this is wonderful for me to see because it was one of my transgressions I've had with the pricing department for many years. This was done with no particular malice. I just think from a restorer's perspective, there hasn't been adequate attention given to the fact that larger, heavier appliances, they acquire a lot more labor and are even associated with more what I call warranty risk. So I'll give you an example. When you have, say, a gas range, and that's installed, or a range and an oven together, builder's grade, General Electric, economy grade, is the same amount of labor as installing a Viking. I don't like that because I know that that Viking, what's that weigh? 3 times as much? The tolerances on all of it, your countertops need to be like tighter, right, at a higher end build. And I'm not sure the pricing department really responds to the difference. Moreover, when you install a Viking, I've had nothing but problems as a restorer with like Viking refrigerators, for example. It seems like you move them at all and the compressor shits out on you. And then that's just a lot more expensive. Just to deal with the compressor on a Viking is more expensive than replacing an entire refrigerator for a GE builder's grade. And so what do I see here? I see somebody making the connection that, yes, a 50-gallon water heater, if empty, could be handled maybe by one individual plumber. Probably would be within OSHA guidelines, but it's, you and I have seen it done. It's possible. But one person can't handle a 100-gallon, right, that install. Just getting that up where it needs to go, not going to happen. And so what are you seeing here? This yield actually reflect the additional labor associated with deploying, you know, this 100-gallon gas water heater. So I think this is a step in the right direction. And I encourage you guys, if the pricing department hasn't caught up to this, if you're a restorer and you're installing, say, an oven and it's a premium grade, you got the warranty risk and you got the additional labor, then maybe adjust your yield down a bit to accommodate that, throw an F9 node in, so on. That's the pricing department sees that feedback via their what would be electronic feedback mechanism. There's 3 types of feedback. You got top down, bottom up, and electronic. I'm not going to get into all that, but they can see that negative if those prices are consistently changed for that line item. That would draw some attention. So on, get you paid what you're owed on that individual claim, and just do your part to guide the pricing department to a more accurate price list over time.
100%. And I think that's what they've done here by adjusting that yield. So, well put. All right. We just have one miscellaneous change this month. I'm going to pull this one up. For the Colorado sales tax jurisdiction, we have modified sales tax regarding some infant and diaper items. So if you have as many kids as me, that may affect you.
So many kids.
Yep.
That ship has sailed for me, and I'm glad for it.
Looking forward to that. Anyway, that's all of the changes this month. Let's look forward to the future. Forward to the future. All right, we've got some upcoming changes here. This is an interesting one. They are reviewing adding some labor assumptions for putting on and taking off your PPE assemblies for the WTR PPE line items. Here's a fun trivia bit. Fehrman, do you know the technical term for taking on and putting off your PPE?
Well, yeah, it starts with a Christmas carol. Don we now our gay apparel, and then we doff it when we're done. Don and doff.
Never made that association.
I never made that connection. I'm never going to be able to hear that song again without thinking of Cat 3 PPEs. Thank you, Charlie.
Why are you singing Christmas carols every time you mitigate?
Uh-huh.
All right. Next one, heat tape for heat pump units. Tension posts for the DRY category. If you're doing localized repair, this could be interesting. They're going to be reviewing the labor yield assumptions for the PLMWH items, the material associations for different grades of shingles. That's going to be interesting. And adding an item for removing drywall that will be patched at a later time. I don't have any more information on that, but it leads me to several potential directions. We'll see what the pricing department's got for us.
That'll be interesting.
Those are some great updates there.
I love
digging
these
it. The tension posts, like drywall, we're acknowledging all the dust that's thrown off when we're doing drywall final. That's wonderful. And then the heat tape for the heat pumps, you know, when we were building out the alerts for what happens when you install a compressor outside for, say, an air conditioner unit,
Right.
there wasn't a heat tape component. I remember looking for it, but now there will be soon. So that's wonderful. Nice addition.
So there we go. All right, that's the July 2025 price list update video. We got 20 new line items, a few changes to existing line items. Be sure to check us out at getinsights.org. We host every single one of these videos we've ever done, and they're all hyperlinked so you can jump right to anything that you have in question. That's a great tool if you need to inform your audience of any particular changes. And most importantly, I'm going to drag this over. Our website again, getinsights.org/demo. Go to this website. You can sign up for a free trial with Martin. He's going to teach you all about the actionable Xactimate profile that we've been talking about this entire video. You don't have to memorize line items anymore. Our profile guides you live on the overages and emissions that may be relevant to your scope. So until we see you next month, keep learning, guys.
Keep building.
Yeah. Estimate for a better tomorrow.